first topic tonight. It was kind of a big. It was a big week. We traded Tyreek Hill for 5 picks, but we ended up getting some guys after the show. So we had the Tyreek Hill topic last week, and then we ended up getting the next day. We got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS. And then a couple days later, we ended up getting Ronald Jones, a.k.a. RoJo, to be in the running back room. So with these 2 pickups that we had, I kind of had to get your guys' opinion on this. So what do you guys think of bringing in big body and fast receiver and MVS and then bringing in Ronald Jones to the running back room? What do you guys think about these 2 additions to the offense?
JD, you the offensive guy, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the honors.
All right. So, you know what? I think I was a little suspect on the move in itself. And my sentiment was you had to get the right guy here. Okay. And where we was looking before Tyreek had left, you're a number 2 receiver. And so when Tyreek leaves, which leaves a tremendous void, you just can't replace a guy like that, what he can do. We go get MVS, and he's a speed guy. No doubt about it. He's got burners. That's one thing he can do. He can absolutely stretch the defense, and he's fast and he's lanky. So he'll give us that element of the game. To me, when you look at his production over the years up there in Green Bay, it doesn't warrant maybe like a number 1 receiver. And I think that's the reason why we're still looking at, further guys. We're still, looking at maybe even the draft or even now talking about getting a number 1 receiver here, because I think MVS has a skill set and he'll do that incredibly well, right, with the speed. But we've had this conversation kind of off the podcast, talking about his hands. How reliable is his hands? Is the reason why he wasn't getting a lot of the catches and maybe some of the targets is because maybe Aaron Rodgers wasn't as confident in his hands as people thought he was. And I just, from me watching him over the years since he's been there, I've seen some bad drops by him. Some wide open drops by this guy, some deep ones. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have good hands. I'm just saying, to me, that was kind of a cause for concern. Maybe in this offense, when you go from Aaron Rodgers to now Patrick Mahomes, which are arguably the 2 best quarterbacks played during this time, that now where you don't have a Devontae Adams, he'll start getting a little bit more looks, right? And maybe he can, showcase a little bit more of his talent. And I'm all here for it. I'm here. Hey, man, you know what? You came here, you signed the deal. I'm on your team right now. That's how it works with me. And so I wish him the best. I hope he comes in, and I hope he just absolutely lights it up. I hope he lights it up, because I'll come out here and say, hey, man, look, part of my reluctance on when I thought about this guy was just that, from what I seen up in Green Bay, and I think in the order of things, how they ran their offense, he was kind of more like the 3rd or 4th option, at least to me, he was. So I think right now it was a good move as far as like what we had to do. Like I said, I think we want to do more. But welcome to Kansas City, MVS. I think he's going to fit in well with what Andy wants for him, because Andy's always looking for fast guys, and so he'll definitely they'll utilize him the way that Bieniemy and all those guys can get him going. So I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for it.
I think he has the ability to take the top off of defense. That's going to just open things again for Kelsey. He commands so much attention in the middle of the field, and when you got somebody streaking down that middle third or down the sideline, just drifting and pulling the attention from these safeties. We know how much we've seen the 2 high shell here in Kansas City. That's been the way people have dropped 8 in the coverage to try to cover us. But when you got deep threats, you don't have Nicole going deep, you have MVS going deep. Both of those guys will be able to man 2-3 pairs of eyes on them. And then you got Kelsey, the man in the middle of the field between the hashes, and then allowing Juju to be Juju. And so I love the signing of MVS, because I think it allows Juju to know he's coming here and not having to try to replace all of those dynamic things that Cheetah did. Now he knows he can come in and be almost a accessory to Kelsey, just in a wide receiver form. Juju in the slot, 25 years old. If he was doing what he was doing with Ben Roethlisberger, Imagine when those passes are within stride or on stride, what he'll be able to do it after the catch. So, and then we talk, you call it RoJo. I'm not going to be able to call the man RoJo. That sounds too much like FloJo. I'm an old head. So Florence joined it. I mean, that was the lady back in the day with the long nails and all that.
Yes, sir.
Run down that track.
Yes, sir.
But I heard him coming to town. It was almost a no-brainer once you found out that him and Pat had the same agent. That was kind of the deal closer. Obviously, any running back coming out the backfield, knowing that, as far as what we needed here in Kansas City was somebody that can move the chains, a first and down threat, being able to get behind. We signed the fullback, and so he's going to have a nice big number 45 in front of him to lead runs. But, the one thing he didn't have to do a lot in Tampa Bay was catch the ball. And so keeping CEH here to be able to be a third down back option, taking some of that wear and tear off CEH, make him fresher, be able to last throughout the whole season. But that was the one thing at LSU most people knew about Clyde. It was hilarious that he was always a dual threat back. It was multiple backs always there his whole time at LSU. So it was that when he gets to the league, would he be able to take the full load? And he's been bit by the injury bug both years. So I now if you take some of that first and second down load off him, let RoJo or Ronald Jones take care of those first primary downs, and then let Clyde get in there for that third down package. I think that everybody gets a little bit more explosive. Losing Cheetah, man, that's going to be a major loss. But I think there is a little bit of addition by subtraction. I think when you have a weapon like Cheetah, it would be stupid not to use them. It's almost unintelligent not to design almost 20 touches for this guy to get the ball. And so when you take that out, and now you look at a defense, now who you gonna cover? Now who you gonna guard? You single up Juju. I think he's still a dominant receiver, be able to beat anybody in the slot. You got to put something more than just a safety or linebacker on Kelsey. And then Clyde Allaire has shown when he's out in the flat, out in space, you don't really want to have a linebacker one-on-one against him. And then we haven't even talked about Miko. Miko ended up the season, last few games in the playoffs, really coming into his own. And so I think if they can expand on that Miko Hardman package, sprinkling enough, first down catches by Juju and Kelsey, and then in the red zone, I think everybody comes alive for the Chiefs. I don't think our offense, when it comes to points per game, are going to take as far back a jump as most people think.
I'll tell you what, and Shawn, what I'm hearing is, I think what we have to kind of embrace, man, is wrapping our head around that this offense is going to look different, right? It's going to look a lot different what it has been with Cheetah's presence being gone, right? And what I've seen, just kind of looking over this past week and a half of the throws that Patrick was able to, extend with his legs, that the guy that he was looking for, because he knew it was going to be open, was Cheetah. He knew he could throw that ball deep, and Cheetah, because Cheetah knew what area he was going to be in and whatnot, was able to burn a lot of defenses up. And so I think now, because we have a kind of restructured line, O-line, it's a lot better what it has been in the past few years, that now, where you said they're not necessarily running that too high shell, you're not necessarily going to be traditional. You're still going to stretch the defense horizontally. The thing is, our defenses, and maybe you could answer this, our defenses feeling that this offense is going to be as dangerous as it used to be, right? And look, I get, you can still get, significant yards, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is, do the significant yards still come in the passing game like it used to? Or I think the addition with Ronald Jones coming in, you have to say, hey, look, we brought this guy in for a reason. So now we have to lean up on the running game a little bit more than what we had to. But I'm going to ask you from your perspective as a defensive guy, what do you feel like now, since that deep threat, too high shell, that a guy that came in could do everything as far as speed-wise, skill-wise, just make everybody look silly? I'm talking about the best athletes in the world look like they was running the quicksand. What now would you say defensively, how would you necessarily play the Chiefs?
Man, I've always thought it was very hard to play the Chiefs because, first of all, Pat Mahomes has a scramble ability. It's always just untapped. When he started, even open up the game against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, it wasn't the arm, it wasn't our running game. It was Patrick Mahomes scrambling the ball for that first drive to kind of match the intensity that Buffalo was. They was going back and forth, blow for blow. But throughout the entire game, the one facet that the Buffalo defense could never figure out was Patrick's legs. And that goes back to the year before with the Tennessee Titans game for that scramble that led to that touchdown. So every playoff run, every postseason run, it always ends up coming down to Pat Mahomes using his legs to try to force a defense out of what they had planned on doing against us as far as keeping us from challenging them vertical down the field, to take advantage of when they drop 8. Now, the unique things defenses started to do, and you talk about Cincinnati specifically, is instead of just dropping 8 and allowing guys to come full bore at Pat, it was almost like a catch and react with the other 3. No one came full speed. It was almost like, we're okay you spending 5, 10, however long it takes you to sit in that pocket, but we're just not going to give you anywhere to throw it, and we're just going to wait until one of these defensive players seep in, and then we got a guy playing a little spy who's going to come and try to clean you up. And that seemed to be the defense they played the majority of the second half. It just continuously caused us problems, forced some turnovers, and it's left a lot of questions because it's such a unique type defense. You don't see it that often. Going back to what we've done now, we're taking out that amazing vertical pressure that we've been able to give defenses all this time. It should make defenses resort back to more traditional style defenses. And I think that's going to actually be a breath of fresh air for our offensive staff to see, the normal sets, the normal things you prepare for all season long, and not to see this unicorn style defense every time you play it because everybody is so in fear of this vertical threat called the cheetah. So I think a lot of things will come back as far as what defense we face for the Chiefs. Like I said, I think the one thing you're going to see in our offense, I think the scoring is going to be a tad bit less, but I think our time of possession, first downs, those are some of the statistics I think that's going to go up this year, and it's going to lead us to a greater margin of victory. When you talk about game by game, when is the game kind of in hand, up by 17, up by 14 with 10 minutes left. I think you're going to find us in those type of scenarios more often because we're not going to have to rely on that deep ball, big play moment as much. And like you said, it'll cut down on scoring a little bit, but I think we'll be in control of games more often than that.
See, and I think with that, and Marcus, you chime in on it, but when you look at kind of how in the past few years, that was what the Chiefs was offensively can do. They can strike fast and quick, right? Mm-hmm. So now that element is gone. So now it's kind of hey, wait a minute, hold on. We do have to have more consistent drive phase and not make turnovers. It don't have to be the silly plays, and we have to get first downs here. And then, like you said, playing that traditional defense, because I'm just looking at it, man. If like let's just say Cheetah was here and we had the move, we wanted to keep him here, the money, he everything works out that way. Even if you bring in a guy like Ronald Jones in, right, where you defense still had to change, play the two high, two shell. Yeah. Ronald Jones will still eat him up in the run game. Now you have an element like, look, now we're really stretching you out, okay? Because we have a guy. I'm not saying the CH is not capable, but now you have a guy that you can definitely change your pace, can run between the tackles a little bit. More of a bruiser, tougher runner. You know what I mean? He has that about him. And so when I'm thinking, if we get behind in the game, everybody's gonna be looking, okay, where's Cheetah at? So is McCoy, is he gonna be the guy that now all of a sudden it's gonna be a quick strike? Is he gonna still be that guy? Kelsey's still gonna rule the middle regardless of what that's not gonna, I don't think any of these things is gonna affect what Kelsey's production is gonna be at all, right? I mean, he's still gonna be the dominant force he is. But when we're looking at certain scenarios where you may be behind, okay, now we're down Because when you're down 14 points or something, it wasn't anything. They just look at each other like, okay, yeah, that's nothing. Boom, cheetah, touchdown, right? We back in the game. I was like, oh, shoot, that was easy. Now, it may not necessarily be that easy. I get sustaining drives, but kind of in my head, we're still looking like, okay, are these guys still going to be able to do it? Which I think we do. I think we got a great cast. Like you said, Juju is going to come, on his own. He's going to do a great job. Harmon's going to do a good job. MVS is going to do a good job. Gordon, my God, I said, Gordon's, he's in the room. So I think those things do help. I just think we just got to wrap our head around, because these things going to look a little bit different than what we've seen in these past few years, right? It's like, oh, man, that's it. So I guarantee in every situation, somebody will like, well, I wish we had Cheetah. Shoot, Tyreek can get that one. I bet Tyreek can get that one on, so.
Yeah. Well, but also you got to look at it from a financial standpoint. If you tell me, hey, man, do we want Cheetah for $30 million this year, or do we want MVS and Juju for combined 13? Be able to go out and have money to pay for Ronald Jones as a starting running back, and have enough money to probably re-sign Melvin Ingram at the $7-8 million. You want those 4 players, or do you want Cheetah at $30 million? Yeah. I think just from a football mind, I think we understand that, like, you can't invest so much in a player that if that player twists an ankle, pull a hamstring, get a soft, like that, man, you can't have $30 million sitting on your bench. You can't have $30 million in the locker room with cramps. For that kind of price tag, if that guy is not on the field, think about what kind of resources you got left to go throughout the rest of the team. It's kind of like you playing the game with one arm behind your back if he's not on the field. And so I just think when you think about how much resources that one player soaks up and how that can be spread to improve so many different factors of your squad, not only on offense, but on the defense side of the ball, we understand there's multiple phases of this game. And you can try to go out there and just keep bringing up the scoreboard. But sometimes you got to have that defense that has the capability of getting to that quarterback, stopping the run, making some plays in that secondary. So I think like we said, the addition from subtraction, we subtract Cheetah, but the additions we're able to make to this team with that $30 million, I think are going to outweigh what he produced and what he provided on the field as far as the offense.
It's a great point, because you could get the Bugatti, or you want a couple of Porsches and Lamborghini. You can put some things here. So go longer with your money, and that's a great point on looking at it. The thing is, hopefully it comes to fruition, right? Sounds great, sounds good on paper. So it's like, hey, we got all of this. Now it's all about, producing, that fruit, right? It's got to happen.
And you got to go back to work, man. Listen, there's a comfort level. You got Kelsey, you got Cheetah, you got Pat. You can't tell me that rest of that offense always goes to training camp with that edge. How am I going to get better? Because all right, those 3 players are going to pretty much be 50 to 60% of our offense. And the rest of us are going to do what? We're going to split up 10 targets at the most.
Right.
Some carries. So now without that Cheetah factor, I think it does bring that edge back to the training camp. Like you said, that excitement of, all right, now how are we going to redefine ourselves? What is the energy about this team going to be? Now we got the capability of running downhill. We had this young offensive line, all rookies. Now they proved that they like to motor-grade a little bit. They like to get after. They like to get a little bit. They like to get dirty a little bit. So I like what I'm seeing from Trey Smith. All right, he plays with that little nasty edge and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Creed. Those guys, they're not out there playing like no timid rookies.
Right.
They playing at a high level. And so if you can put the ball behind those guys and move the chains a little bit, get Kelsey, hey man, listen, man, Father Time is undefeated. You gotta give us one more good one, bro. You gotta somehow give us one more good one. Just keep taking that Hall of Fame resume and add another season to it. Mm-hmm. And then let these young guys just grow up and share that, And Andy does a great job of sharing the wealth. Everybody knows his offense is let's just turn the page. We got a Kelsey page, then we got a Tyreek Hill. No more. We rip that one out. We got a Rico Hardman page. Now we got a Clyde Allaire page and a RoJo page, MVS page. So we got this different phases of this offense, and he's been a mastermind almost over the last few seasons of finding out, depending on what you do defensively, how you make adjustments to their shifts and motions, of which phase of that offense he needs to dial up. And so I just got so much belief in what Andy does on the offensive side of the ball. And then the beautiful thing about the Chiefs, we still talking about the offense. Who did they lose on their offensive staff? They gained Nagy back.
Yeah, they got Nagy.
They still got Andy Heck. They still got G. Lou. They still got B. Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the one part of this team that no one ever it goes untouched for season after season after season. And that's, to me, one of the keys of victory as far as this team is concerned, why they stay so prepared and so ready, because everybody else is getting accustomed to a coach for the first half of the season.
Right.
Not the Chiefs. They've been hearing that same voice and that headset. So now we did lose he went to the Giants, the quarterback coach.
Kafka.
Yeah, we lost him.
Yeah. But you got Nagy, though.
Yeah, getting that. I kind of think that's a win.
Win.
I think that's a win right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Offensively, I think, like I said, I think at the end of the day, the offense is going to be just fine by the time week one come, and it might even actually be stronger at the end of the year.
Yeah. It's a good point when you said it's going to be an exciting in a different kind of way. Last year was exciting, or the past years have been exciting because, 3-play drives, bomb the Tyreek, just stuff like that. It's going to be exciting and to see how it changes compared to what we're used to. And I know last year, JD, on the show, you mentioned it multiple times and watching games, it's like a lot of our play calling didn't make any sense. We were doing play actions when we would go drives without running the ball. I think now we're going to have the running back to run the ball with, and then we can do that play action game will open up again. So, stuff like that's going to happen again. We haven't really seen that work in a really long time. So that'll be fun to see again.
It drove me and JD crazy seeing somebody run an RPO without running. Like, what do we do? This RPO, but you got to run it sometimes. You don't ever run it. It's like they just playing pass. Nobody respecting that run.
None. Yeah, no threat. Zero.
No threat.
And you guys think day one, because Andy Reid said this week that he said Ronald Jones will play a major role in our offense. You guys think he's going to be a starting running back? And then CH will be the third down back.
I think they make it work. I think bringing him in, you have conversations with CEH and saying, look, man, this is kind of the direction we're going, right? And competition is good. And so, look, whoever's out there eating right now who's doing well is going to get, is going to run the rock. But the thing is, both you guys got to be able to carry the load. And so CH is going to have, like Shop said, look, he catches the ball well out the backfield. He really does. And so Ronald Jones could be the one in between the tackles. And like I said, man, I played back in the day when you had the, thunder and lightning. And when you have something, an element like that throwing it to defenses, it's like, okay, well, this guy's going to catch the football. Well, no, now all of a sudden you hand it off to CH, right? That's what you do. And so hopefully, when you have that type of diversity, those guys like Shawn was just talking about, everybody, I'm just seeing them right now, just in the offensive room, just having a ball. These jokers are putting everything on board. Man, we got this, we can do this now. And so that's going to be a good thing. That's a great problem to have. But I think CEH understanding, look, this thing right here is about business. And right now, if anything, I can't go in the tank. I got to let this motivate me. I got to come out here and show what I can do. I got to be on the field. So Ronald, when he comes in, just support each other. And I think with the enemy being that guy, who understands playing the NFL, like, look, man, this is all part of business. We trying to win. We ain't trying to placate to everybody's emotions on these things. Ain't what it's about. We did that, we kept cheating here, right? So we ain't doing that. So I think with that dynamic, CH is going to understand. He will. He's a young guy, so he'll get it. He'll get it.
Yeah, it's nothing I've ever seen from Clyde Allaire that makes me feel like he's somebody that gets his, feelings hurt and gets emotional. Like, he's a ball player. He's a dog. He comes out and works hard. I think that's why everybody in the locker room loves him. I think he sees, RoJo coming in and kind of replacing, maybe, the Darrell Williams role. And the Chiefs never had a first and second down only back. They never had just a third down back like a lot of offenses had. I mean, you played a series. You played 2 series. When you stay in. When you run a long route or you run a long run and get tackled, the other guy comes in, tags you out, and then he goes as hard as he can until he gets tired. So it's never been that traditional only first, only second down back, and then every third down, another guy comes in as a package. I never saw this offense run that way. Even when they had Hunt, and those guys, it wasn't run that way. So I think both of the guys, you learn everything. You learn the package, you learn the protection. You always got to protect. You know that you ain't gonna touch the field if you don't know how to protect Pat.
Sir,
so if you don't know the protection, that you will be on the bench that way. But as long as you run hard, ball security, that's something here in Kansas City. Ball security from the running backs is important. And then you just got to stay true and be a hard, tough-nosed runner when the ball's in your hand. So I think EB respects that, and that's how you earn your playing time.
Yeah, and I think going forward, there's a report a couple days ago saying the Chiefs are contacting teams about some of their top receivers in an offense. Everyone jumps to the number 1 receivers in all these teams, but the report was top receivers, so like that could be any receiver on any team. So that's the report right now. I think the betting odds on us getting DK Metcalf went up big time today. I don't know. There was a tweet last week from DK Metcalf saying he wasn't coming. Because someone said a fan tweeted at him saying the door's open for you in Kansas City. He said you better shut it. I hear it gets pretty cold there. That's what he said.
Listen, I'm a politic. Okay, again, all right. Get that guy on the other side, the one that's been raised here in Kansas City. All right. As far as it works, business-wise, it works. Right now, he's already signed that deal. So if you give him a couple of draft picks for a proven guy who's got the speed, who can run, who can catch, can do all those things, Tyler Lockett will be a fit here. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's how I look at it. So I'm a politic for that, as opposed to decaf, DK, so I guess a decaf. Well, maybe. But
I'm going to second that emotion. I'm going to second that. Listen, man, we know we were listening. I'm a close friend of Kevin Lockett. We both are. His son is amazing, man. He's not only just a great football player, but a hell of a man in the community.
Yes, sir. A
great Christian brother, man. Mm-hmm. He's done everything right off the field.
Yep.
Work hard, and he's shown, every day he's been there in Seattle that he's about one thing. He's about working hard and taking care of his business. So you can't knock that. Never a showboat. Never putting the spotlight on himself. Not ever making any kind of public decrees about how many times he touched the ball or the ball not coming his way or pounding on his chest. Man, he goes out there and runs crisp routes, whether he's open or not. He runs his routes.
Yes. Right.
Like somebody gonna see me. They'll see me. Well, you throw it my way or not, I'm gonna run this route and I'm gonna embarrass this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I can joke with him a little bit, like, "Hey man, I was open. You ain't come me yet all day. They might not have thrown it to me, but you ain't covered me all day. There's not many DBs that can cover him for a duration of the game. So yeah, that would be a great addition. If we want to keep it personal, it's actually one of the sons of one of our friends.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's under contract till 2026, so I think that's a perfect move for us. So, Veach, if you're watching this, let's bring Tyler Lockett. Do what you got to do to get him. We have 12 draft picks. You're not going to use all 12 draft picks. Let's send a couple over to Seattle's way for Tyler.
Yes.